we don't want things polished. We want things real. That's the essence.
How do I start this? Here we are again into the next episode of Scaling the Unscalable. I'm again with Manuel, my partner in business. Thank you, Manuel, for joining me once again.
Always great to be here.
Today the topic is the event space. Now, you have been part of the event space for 15 years now. You have contributed so much in the space in Germany, in Cologne more specifically, with events such as Pirate Summit, such as OM Club. More specifically, Pirate Summit has even helped Cologne be part of the map, of the startup map in Europe. So your contribution is definitely noteworthy. And I would love to discuss with you how the space has evolved during the past 15 years or so. So if you can maybe start with doing an overview, and yeah, we can take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in that space. I actually stumbled in that space in 2010. It was not really on a purpose, or let's say 2008. I moved to Cologne and didn't have a good network here. Then I found somebody through my network, and then we decided, oh, wouldn't it be great to host a small meetup in Cologne every first Friday of the month, and just to meet up with fellow entrepreneurs, hang out, and just discuss things, and maybe help each other out. And that's the first experience really that I had with business events. Before I had the usual anniversary or birthday or something like that. And then all of a sudden we got together and we wanted to do this conference, and we actually just wanted to do a meetup and then a gathering and then a conference, and then step by step it grew bigger. In that time, events were so the B2B space I'm talking about right now, were pretty stiff and pretty boring, if you will.
Corporatish.
Yeah, corporatish, yes. That's just the suits, exchanging business cards. That was the time. I don't know, the younger people listening, maybe they don't remember, but we had business cards back in the day. Everybody had them. They had to be nicely designed. They had to feel good, etc. And you just handed them over, and this is my card. And you went to an event. At the end of the event, you came back with this pack of business cards, and it was a good event if you had this big pack of 10, 20, 30, whatever business cards. Yeah, that was, to be fair, that was a time where the things were just not, there was not a big view on how to make this great, how to make this a real experience. It was more just get together, you talk to people, you exchange business cards, and then you email them, maybe you call them, whatever, and then you do something afterwards. Obviously, there were also other events more in the private leisure space that were actually
the VIP
cool.
ones, right?
Exactly, yeah. So they were actually cool. They were experiences, but they were not really that much B2B events that you would go to. What we did with Pirate Summit, especially in 2010, 2011, we created an event that was a real experience. And that was, back then, that was really a standout thing. That was something innovative, that was something new, that was something unusual, unique. It's not like that anymore, because other events have also evolved. And if you look at the whole space now, it has evolved from something that is more transactional to something that's more experiential. And then through these experiences, also transactions or business come out of that. And we saw that whole space evolve every year. New events created new experiences. We had, for example, we had every year we produce a big party since 2008 actually, and that party has evolved over time to also be very experiential, very crazy creative. So it's a party for 3,000 plus professionals, B2B party at a huge fair also here in Cologne. And what we put there was exactly the Mexico. What we put there was 1 year we put an in Germany, it's called an auto scooter, but it's actually bumper cars. The next year, we wanted to go higher. Then we put a bungee jump there, and it all culminated in we had all these rides, all these things, and even we had a go-kart racetrack at the party, on the party, so people could run around, could drive around, and actually do
and
a
people
race.
do it.
And yes, they
Okay.
They absolutely
Wow.
do. And
It's crazy.
that time, so we got wilder. Other events did the same thing, and we were in a good state. 2019, 2020, the events space had really started to grasp that power of actually creating good experiences. And then the pandemic really hit, and the whole event space was shook. And then the big bet that we thought we should bet on, we obviously didn't know whether that would play out, was okay, are online events going to be a thing? Because we thought everything had become digital. Are we going to also be able to create digital events that would create virtual communities, if you will, virtual settings, virtual gatherings where people, like-minded people, could much easier connect? The thesis that we had was actually, so that was just an assumption, and we thought like this could happen. Nobody knows the future, right? But this
Mhm.
could be a route. The thesis that we had was that people that the digital experience would become so good that we would still feel connected, would want to hang out with others
Mhm.
digitally, virtually, and talk with them and have experiences like we also had in the physical world. We all know by now that parts of that have remained. So what we do is we have webinars, people do webinars, people log in, people see what others tell, etc. But a real, like a conference kind of event experience,
Mhm.
a real B2B networking experience, that has not evolved, and actually it has swung back quite a bit. So we had 2-3 years where these platforms had massive valuations. They totally took off. And then all of a sudden, they basically, the valuations
They
crumbled. People
shrunk.
were not really interested anymore.
Yeah.
What we definitely see is a different behavior of the people and also different experiences. So yes, more events right now are doing live recording, live streaming of the sessions, talking about conferences now, right? So if they have a speaker speak, they record it, they often stream it. So you have this hybrid element that was
Mhm.
very normal in the pandemic period. Then people have less commitment, just as you would have with online events. You have less commitment. People they come they decide really late whether they are going to join or not. Actually, yesterday I was at an event here in the region, and I talked to the organizers, and yeah, 7 weeks ago, they only had half the tickets sold that they were expecting, hoping. And I totally know that feeling. And you have this feeling like, oh,
Yeah.
are the other people actually going to come? Are they going to show up? Do I have enough food? Do I have enough space? Do I have to rearrange? Is it going to be too empty? Is it going to be whatever? Right? All of these questions that you have, and then the ramp up really came in the last weeks, and that's something that definitely changed after the pandemic. People are going just like online events. You decide late. You don't know. Maybe you can fit it in. Maybe not. That 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 commitment that I want to go is, and I'm going to commit right now, 3 months, 6 months in
Mhm.
advance, is not really there anymore. That makes life for an event super hard, super
Okay.
tough actually to really plan well. But it also means that if you tell that story well, that within a few weeks or months, you can actually fill up an event quite well. So people
Mhm.
do not want or also don't need to plan too much in advance. And what I'm seeing a trend is also you have a few like super huge events like Web Summit style, 30, 60, 100,000 people, tremendously big, and definitely a trend to smaller gatherings. We had that before, also in 2010, 2015. There was a longing for that, but was not as prominent as I see it see it today.
Mhm.
I also think that's something from the pandemic. People really want to meet in person. They want to have deep conversations. There's a certain longing for connection, I would say, longing for people that, yeah, that share an
Your
evening and
struggles.
not with that pack of 30 business cards afterwards, but just these 5 conversations, one evening, 5 meaningful conversations. Every conversation could be half an hour even. You just spend time with someone, really talking about something, and then you go home fulfilled. Maybe there is a transaction afterwards, so a business transaction, but you take more from that. You actually build relationships, and that's definitely a trend that I'm seeing. And I also think it's not going to go away.
Okay,
So I
so
gave you a few nuggets now. Pick from it, and then let's
yeah,
take it from there.
I always thought that events were always this unpredictable, so that people always bought tickets at the very last minute. Was this different before the pandemic?
To be frank, yes, it was different before the pandemic. If I would talk numbers now, this is what I'm seeing. It obviously it can be different from event to event, and also it really depends on what type of event you're actually organizing. If you're organizing a big conference, let's talk conference, 500 people, 1,000 people, something like that. You can expect. It's also a conference with 150 people, which we are also organizing for next week. It's the same thing. You can actually expect that within the last month, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, 50% of the registrations come in. And that's something which was different then. And even if you start to promote it 6 months ahead of the event, this was definitely different 10 years ago or so. You had something like 50% 3 months ahead of the event, right? You structure that. Typically, you structure that through early bird pricing. You try to move registrations early so people really register. You want to actually free events are not as good for an organizer apart from the monetization strategy, because the no-show rate really jumps up high. And for free events, you don't want people to register very, very early, because then the no-show rate is going to be higher even. But you can expect 50. So 10 years ago, you would expect, if you would start to market maybe 6 to 9 months ahead of the event, that 3 months before the event you would have 50%. Now it's, let's say, 6 weeks before the event that you would 60%.
That is
That
crazy.
you have 50%. So obviously these numbers fluctuate. It can be a little bit more, a little bit less, but that's the tendency that you could definitely see. And 6 weeks before the event, if you don't know where you're going to end up, certainly 2 weeks before the event, you need to have catering, etc., fixed, right? And you need to know how you plan everything. You need
Yeah.
everything set up, because you cannot change too much at the last minute. So planning wise, organization wise, that puts a lot of pressure on events organizers actually to build very flexible kind of setups. To also, with caterers, for example, you build quite a bit of flexible deals. Usually you go a little bit lower, and then you say, okay, give me the option to have 2 or 3 steps up, to say, okay, 100 people more, 100 people more, 100 people more, whatever the size obviously is. And you tell them, and you have certain milestones, certain gates, communication gates, where you then basically decide on, okay, can you please add 100 based on our agreement that we had before. So that's very much how you organize around that. You also, so that's at least what we are doing. You plan events with, all right, we target this size. We might end up a little bit less. So a little bit less, meaning 20-25% less. So significantly less, or significantly more, 20-25% more. What would the scenario be? And I'm only able to decide 2-3 weeks before the event. So you kind of, you keep things flexible. You choose locations where you can then cut off certain areas, make things smaller. Should it turn out to be smaller, or you can maybe even expand. The best scenario obviously is if you're just sold out.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I think that's the best case, right? If you sold out, then
Yeah,
everything
if
looks
2 months before the event, you can just say, okay, we're sold out. We don't give out any tickets anymore. But
yeah.
it's super hard to get people to events, to get the commitment. Why? Because they don't want to commit early. Just as we just discussed, they are all going to commit late, or most are going to commit late, and that's just yeah. It's something that you get used to.
Mhm.
I sleep really well before an event right now, so I don't
Okay.
really have an issue with that. Others, right now, Paradox has a client organizing a kind of smallish
Mhm.
conference, 200 people, invite only, high profile people,
Mhm.
and the same thing happened. The same thing 4 weeks, 6 weeks before the event. It was just nobody was registering. It was like, okay, it's not going to work out. We're going to
That's crazy.
need to make it smaller. But yesterday, I asked him, where are we right now? It's a week before the event, and the customer said, yes. Well, we're going really really well. We are totally on a track, and we might even exceed the expected number of people. So, and that's what I have seen. That's the behavior shift that is there, and maybe you from a participant perspective, how many days or weeks before an event are you going to choose whether you're going to participate or not?
Well, in general, I try to make these decisions as early as I can because I have to plan beforehand. And usually the events that I like being part of, they are almost always abroad. So I have to travel, so I have to book tickets, plane tickets, I have to book a hotel, somewhere to stay. So of course it makes sense to book at least 1 month prior. And usually the decision is made 2 to 3 months prior. But I do see why many people have a hard time to pick where to go because there are also so many options. Now, to be frank, I think Pirate Summit was a unique experience as well. Or maybe I haven't seen as many experiences as that one. So I would believe that people would make a decision to be a part of that much earlier, but definitely you were running it. So you have a much better view of it. So what would you say in 2025 would be the top three things that an event organizer should focus on in order for their event to be a success?
Well, um, just like you said, there are so many events, so many activities to actually choose from. There's an overkill of events actually that you really have to stand out, and you need to have a clear promise. If I go there, why should I go there? What's in it for me? Just very selfishly. That's what you need to communicate really well. So the event is actually not happening at the event, and it's also not just organizing the event and then opening the doors and then speakers come on stage, or I don't know,
Mm,
the band is playing, but the event actually starts 2, 4, 6, 8 months before the event, because you start to tell a story around it. You fill it up with an emotion. Why should people be there? It's no different than with any other product as well. The packaging
mm,
really matters. If you go to an Apple store, how the iPhone is displayed there, just the iPhone there, and then nothing, a lot of wasted space in between, really says something
mhm,
about the value of the product. And there's a big story around that as well. So the whole packaging of the event really matters, and
mhm.
you need to tell that story according to what feeling you want to
Convey.
bring across, what feeling you want to create with your audience. And then that story, you have a whole story arc. As you tell it, also needs to resonate at the event, obviously. Right.
Mhm,
The biggest mess up that we've probably seen is the Fire Festival, the famous example where there was the big hype, the big expectation building, and then people went there, and there was just an island with nothing organized there, and all of these famous people were expected to be there, and it was just a real shit show. And so, if you want to do this again, nobody's going to Fire Festival number 2 because it was just a bad experience. That experience on site also needs to be right, and then the after experience also. So, actually, if you are in the event business, you are in the entertainment business. That's really important to know. You are in the entertainment business because people expect entertainment. There's entertainment everywhere.
mhm,
An event is also that. If I go to an event, I need to have more than just, otherwise I could just reach out to someone on the LinkedIn. I need something more. And you need to do this storytelling well. So that's a long story for this
mhm,
this most important point. I think
mhm,
what you need to get right is you need to understand, what is it that my event does? What is the promise? What does it solve? What value does it actually create? And then
mhm,
you need to tell that whole story around it. Distribution
mhm,
for the event is at least 50% of the of the task. So producing an event for many people it seems to be hard, but if you really look at it, it's just good project management. A lot of people can actually do that, but create that whole story from a few months prior, tell that story, and then creating that experience that you are actually promising. That is the hard part. And by the way, we, as Pirate X, we do this with customers all the time. And on piratex.com, we publish the whole blueprint of everything that we do, how we work. All those things are all there just to be downloaded for free. So anybody that is interested, just check it out.
It's very nice.
It's really the blueprints that we actually use. So if we would start an event, if we would do an event, so you would come to me and say, okay, I want to create this event just to make it easy. You come to Germany for Division 5 customers. You want to create an event, just 50 people, handpicked customers and potential leads or opportunities, other people that might become your customer. So the typical customer event, we would not just say, all right, not an issue. We just get you a venue and then go. We would sit down with you just 2 hours for that kind of size of event. Unless you really want to blow the roof off, then it will be longer. But we'd just sit down with you and just want to understand what is it actually that you're doing, that you want to achieve, and how can we make it really, really meaningful. And we would talk with you about that whole journey. All right. So this is the promise. But how are you going to communicate? How are you going to make sure that the people actually come? How are you going to make sure that that value promise that you say that is actually happening at the event? And with every event, you can basically do that. It can be really, really short, right? But even if you organize a small dinner, you can think about, all right, this is what I'm doing, 12 people coming, but let's think, is there something that I can create that creates an emotion that is memorable, that is valuable, for that can be done without a lot of budget, right? It's that creative process. And I think it's like with any other product. It needs to have a purpose. It needs to have a meaning. It needs to have some kind of value promise. Otherwise, it's not something that should exist in my view. So why does it need to exist? Because there are so many events out there. Give me a reason why your event should be there. Let's talk about CRMs. Maybe the audience knows knows those software products well. How many CRMs are there? So if we would sit together and say, okay, we are going to vibe code the next CRM now, you really need to tell that story. Why do you need another CRM? There are 50,000 out there, probably 200,000, right?
It's
Why
crazy.
would you need another one? We would need to tell that story, even if some kid at 18 could just vibe code it now within 3 weeks and have some kind of CRM version. You need to, in the end, find users that actually use it. And with events, it's the same thing. You can organize an event, no problem, but you need to get people to actually come there. So if you have the participants are just like with your SaaS product, the users, the difference is that they come to your event once, or like for that moment, you need to get everything ready then. And a SaaS product is if you have one user or a 10 at a single moment, it doesn't really matter. But the mechanics are actually similar. So tell me that story, why I should use it. I will open up the app. I will log in. If I don't find what you promised, I'll be gone in 5 minutes, right? With events, people, or 5 minutes, 5 seconds probably. I'll just check it out, click at it. People with events, they cannot just leave, but they'll definitely not come again because you made them come all the way. You had this promise, you had this story, and then you just didn't fulfill it. So tell that story well, create a good experience, really live up to that story. If you promise something, live up to that story, because the marketing for your next event, if you want to do one again, starts at the event that you're actually at. So we do Pirate Night, August 28th this year. So it's not Pirate Summit, but it's one evening where we reignite the fire again. People will be gathering, and people are not going to come in 2026. Should we do it again? I don't know, but they're definitely not going to come if that event 2025 is not going to be great. So it just needs to be great, it needs to be excellent, and that's business. You promise something, you deliver it. If you deliver it well, people will have will buy again from you, right? It's the same thing for that space. And boy, I think it's going to actually change quite a bit through AI. To be honest, if I look to where things are going, this is just going to be more of that. It's not going to be less. So we had the pandemic, where also we were thinking, okay, it could move more towards online. I think it's going to be with the whole AI thing. It's going to be moving quite a bit back to the offline world. So
How?
personal meetups, just really person to person, is going to be a big thing again. I would suspect.
Okay. And you see that because AI is kind of killing that in-person connection, right? As a main
Well,
reason.
there is the thing with us people is that humans are not perfect, and that makes us wonderful. So think about a chess game. So a computer is much better than a human player. How many people are actually watching a computer play against another computer? No one is. It's just super boring. We are watching, though, chess has a big boom right now. We are watching a human play a human. Why? Because we don't want the perfect game. We want the imperfect game. We want somebody to stumble, to fumble the ball, to not actually make it, because being imperfect makes us human. We want the drama. Go to a football match. If both sides would play perfect, there just won't be a goal, right? I vividly remember there was a Champions League final, I think 1993, Olympic Marseille against
Okay.
yeah, it was the first Champions League match. It was one of the really boring matches. It was wonderful in terms of
How they
strategy,
played.
tactic, yes, but it was 0-0. That's
That's
how it
boring.
ended,
Yeah.
and it was super boring because it didn't have the drama, and also we want imperfect. We want that's what defines humans. So if we are sitting here, uh, we could both use filters now. They work in real time. Google Meet and all the other tools, also virtual calling tools. They have filters, not just the funny hats that we can put on, but we can put filters on to make us look a little bit more beautiful, a little bit more, but just slightly. You won't really recognize that. If you look closely, you will see it. Imagine that 1, 2, 3 years from now, the technology will be so good, it will be indistinguishable from reality, and we just wouldn't notice. And you can tweak that. I can sit here in a few years. You can probably do it now, but in a few years, you will not recognize that. And I can just gesture and talk with your face, so you would see your own face with your voice, maybe live translated into whatever language that you want, and you could just be golfing or surfing or skiing or whatever, do something nice with your family, and I would just do all the talking, and eventually you would just have a digital avatar. So all of that, I think, what we are losing with AI is that human factor. We are losing humanity. So that thing,
That's a big statement.
why we actually want to be together. I'm not against AI. I'm just thinking,
I
okay,
know that.
what is happening, and I'm not saying that's the future that I want. I'm also not saying that's the future that I not want. I'm just looking at, this is reality. This is what I see. Tell me your view on it. Let's discuss that. And we have taken authenticity, humanity, human connection for granted. We are losing that. What is rising in value? I think that human connection, that human factor, that authenticity is becoming increasingly valuable. And for multiple reasons. But what is going to happen in person? Connection is going to really grow, and really there is going to be a big demand for that. So I actually see that in 2, 3, 4 years, we are really going to meet, because we we crave that as humans, and as perfect and great the technology is, it's not going to
Replace us fully.
yeah, but also replace that, or fulfill
That
that
connection,
need.
maybe. Yeah.
Maybe if you look at things like, I can have a perfect text, really like a good text created with ChatGPT today. But there is this element of this certain words are in there that I
Mm.
just wouldn't use, that you wouldn't use, that a normal person just wouldn't use, and we feel like this is AI generated. This might sound nice. It's maybe even perfect, but it's not something that makes me feel good. I lose the trust in, did you really write that yourself, or didn't AI write that? And what are we actually looking for is, what was you might say the right words, but I see this
Mhm.
written as AI, and then all of a sudden I feel like, no, this is coming from AI. This is not really coming from
Mhm.
Angel anymore. A good anecdote actually is that my daughter got this love letter. My daughter is 11,
Okay.
young. This got this. She got this love letter from a boy from the class that admired her and that had a little crush on her. And she came home and said that, and didn't show the letter. Of course, the discussion was, okay, what are you going to do about it now? And what is the next step? And she said, no, I'm not going to do anything. Like, why? Because I'm sure that he wrote it with ChatGPT.
Oh, wow.
11, right?
That's that's really
Okay.
interesting.
Do you want to show me the letter, and let's can we talk about it? And clearly, when you read that letter, it was clear this was not written by ChatGPT. There
7-year-old
were
boy.
mistakes in there. There was a language that was from a young boy,
Okay.
really making a great effort. Something nice was
Mm.
drawn there. It was really something. It was heartwarming, to be honest. Also, as a parent, to just
Okay.
see, okay, this was really something coming from the heart. We talked about it, and in the end, she also answered. And she answered herself, sent a letter back, and everything was resolved and everything was
Mm.
fine. But what that actually shows is, first, that the young people, they understand these technologies really, really well. They know that a lot of things are actually fake, and they don't just trust everything, but
Mhm.
also that even for an 11-year-old, that love letter that was written well, right? So like really like a good love letter, just a
Mm.
few sentences, but really nice. That it does not have any meaning if you might assume it was written by AI and was not written like a real intent
Mhm.
by a person. And we don't want things polished. We want things real. That's the
Mhm.
essence, and that's why I think, coming back to the event space, that's why I think that events become tremendously valuable. And if we cannot trust anymore, the two of us sitting together now here,
Mhm.
watching each other, like you are there, I am here, but if I cannot trust that what I see is actually real, if I think it might be fake, or actually your intern is
Yeah.
sitting there just with your
Yeah.
avatar, I'm going
That
to
would be nice.
yeah, I'm going to be totally, I feel disrespected.
Disillusioned. Yeah.
I'm yeah, yeah. And so events are going to come back. It's going to be smaller. It's going to be go, or going to be
More
back. They're
personal, maybe.
going to predict, yes, more personal, more intimate. We are going to crave intimacy like crazy. That's what I believe. You have already now, you have a loneliness pandemic and all of those things. Like people really, I mean, we are the most connected
Society.
civilization
Yeah.
society that we ever had, right?
Yeah.
But we feel we are also the most lonely because we lost a lot of things that we had. The tribal parts, etc., the family units are all
They
breaking
were so
apart.
important.
And where, yes, they are super important. Where are we going to get that? The feeling that we crave, we need to belong. We need to be part of some kind of community. Where are we getting those? If not from real people, the AI, the robots, I don't see that happening. We can go into crazy stuff like marrying an AI, etc. that is going to happen. But I don't think it's really going to solve. Just going to be a mirage, and it's not going to really solve that feeling that we all
Loneliness.
have. Yes, that feeling of human longing, human connection, just wanting to be this human factor that we all know, that's really hard to describe, but that we all know, that we actually deep inside us crave.
So it's such an amazing breakdown. Thank you for that. And I fully agree. Like if we look into the latest tries of revolutions, let's put it this way, the latest is AI. The prior one was Meta's attempt with VR and they're all, virtual worlds and whatnot. Both of these attempts actually push us away from that human connection, because
I
that
100% agree.
VR thing, I mean, that was really crazy because it implied that you would be meeting people virtually, and we have to have like make people meet more physically than virtually. We already meet virtually, so definitely we are going astray from that human connection. I don't know why. It has been the case, I believe, for quite a few years now, and we are progressing so much. We are doing crazy things. We are, as you also said, we are the most connected society, but we are also the most lonely society. And yeah, maybe we have to go back into our roots. Maybe we have to think more, more simply. We have to value more simplicity. We have to value those things that were so important back then, and somehow I believe we also lost the perception of how valuable they were. But yeah, circling back to our discussion, if you were running an event right now, how would you maybe use AI to augment the experience? How would you use it to add leverage and to make more a successful event?
It really depends on what you want to achieve with your event. If you really want to ask me what I want to do with, let's say, Pirate Night, because I'm actually running that, and
Okay.
I'm,
Yeah.
let's say, really the one finally deciding what it's going to be like, I would not use AI much. I would also say, hey, I don't want an event app or something like that. Just no, you are here to connect. We're all too much on our digital devices. I would want to create a space where you can actually deeply connect with others, meaningfully connect. And so I would say, basically, you can leave your devices at the door. No, of course, I want a few pictures for social media afterwards, right? But
Yeah.
basically, the good events are those where you don't look on your digital device, where you just forget. So for that would be, let's say, a KPI.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to an event, or if I organize an event, then I want people to actually connect and not be on their device and, I don't know, read social media or
Mm-hmm.
do their emails or so, because then it shows that something is not really right at the event. You are distracting yourself with something else. So that's the digital question. That was not the AI question, but I'll try to go to de-digitalize, if you will, the event
Mm-hmm.
experience. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't stream content. I absolutely would. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can, others that cannot come, they can be integrated somehow. You have content for later, etc. So it's not against digital. I'm just trying to create a room where connection can really, really flourish. And we
Mm-hmm.
all know that a digital device in between is not enhancing the connection, but is more like a barrier between people, and it's actually yeah, putting more distance in
Mm-hmm.
between people. That's how I certainly experience it. And AI is a tremendous help in
Mm-hmm.
everything with regard to organizing. So if you think about communication, etc., of course it makes a lot of sense to have AI check it.
Mm-hmm.
I would not have AI write it, but I would have AI check it. I would always write it yourself, because it needs to be, in my events, it needs to feel like a human has actually written it.
Mm-hmm.
We are still in that time. Will it be different in 2 years? I don't know. Might be, right? Then maybe the AI will also be imperfect and just fake
Mm-hmm.
humans and make mistakes. And write in all small letters or something like that, and just do things on a purpose, so it feels more, it
More
feels more
natural.
human.
Yeah.
Everything with regarding to project management in events, so internal organization processes, you can definitely use AI. I would even, so this is in Paradox, especially, but in basically everything that I do. If somebody comes to me with something that and asking me, can you please check this? I would always. The first question is, did AI check this? But
Okay.
not as like a boss checking
Mhm.
something, but more as an intern that also has another set of eyes on it to just go through and does this make sense? Do you see an error in there? Is there I don't know, a spelling mistake or something like
Mhm.
that? So really very much an AI first view on the things. And I think that is super helpful, but that's maybe also for an whole other discussion.
Agreed.
AI at an event. So I was at this event yesterday and there was not a lot of AI there. There were companies talking about AI, but there was nothing that I really saw that was AI.
Mhm.
I could imagine myself having certain experiences that are AI generated. Let's say you could put a 3D hologram of myself. You can project it somehow into
Mhm.
there are these light boxes where you can put it in, and people could actually talk to me with my voice, with my gestures, and they could just ask me questions, and I could answer in all languages with my natural voice, and it would seem kind of natural. I could imagine those kind of gimmicks just as to make AI experiential, but AI as such, no. Maybe a drone show or something like that powered by AI could be interesting, but I don't really see
So stay away
the
from AI
see
if
that.
you're organizing an event, right?
I'm not.
Stay
No,
clear of it.
I don't want that message to get that message across. AI has wonderful opportunities. It's just like a hammer and a saw. It's just tools. You can do bad things with it. You can do good things with it. You can build something. You can destroy something. So it's all what you want to do. So it's really up to you how you use these kind of tools. And I also think AIs are actually tools. It's a little bit uh, more depth if we would go into that conversation. But in general, these are tools, and use them to prepare faster, communicate better, plan
Make it more
better.
polished.
Yes, make it so all of that you can really enhance people with AI for the event itself. I don't see a lot of use cases right now where I can really help. And I mean, broadly, AI is not a good companion as of yet in the physical world. AI is a good companion in the digital world, but in the physical world, AI is not there yet. So when are we going to see the robots really coming? I think it's going to take some time still, but they will be coming faster than quite a few people anticipate, but they will take longer than the optimists think.
Okay. Because I was thinking that you could maybe have robots at the door to actually check the tickets and have people in. That could be a very normal standard use case.
True. The thing is, why would you need robots on and not just a scanner? Right? So we're all
Fair
thinking
enough.
about doing this human-like kind of thing. If you really think this through, the scanner that you have at big fairs today, you're just scanning. You just go in through this thing. Nobody's standing there anymore. Those are robots. We just don't call them robots because they don't look like humans, right? But we have a lot of robots with us, around us. My vacuum cleaner is a robot, just cleans the house. Yeah. So these kinds of things.
All right. And yeah, maybe last topic of the day. Where do you see Pirate Night going? Because this is the second time you organize it, and I remember that last year it was like something like a one-time thing, and I absolutely love that you're doing this because it's the closest to the old pirate experience that we used to have, and I'll do my best to be part of it. But yeah, just to
Yeah,
maybe
you have
see
to be
your
there, obviously.
perspective, I'll be there.
Yeah. So I don't have plans with Pirate Night. There is no grand strategy. There was why am I doing this because there's a group from the Balkans that actually asked me and that said, hey, do you want to do it?
Albania as
Because
well.
we would. Not yet, but we have to talk
Okay.
about it. Let's try. Maybe we can get
Hmm.
a few people together. But they say we are exploring certain certain startup ecosystems and startup events because we want to learn and we want to see what the best of the best
Hmm.
things we want to take, and we want to think about whether we can actually do something in the Balkans too.
Okay.
Um, uh, so that was something that got me thinking. And I
Hmm.
said, yes, let me see what I can do. Then we have the Startup Open Air, which is on August 20th. It's another
Okay.
festival. It's 2,000 people coming. It's going to be cool. And I said, okay, maybe we can make it worthwhile for
Hmm.
people to actually come here. That if we do it next to that Startup Festival day.
Hmm.
So the Startup Open Air is on August 27th. Pirate Night will be on August 28th. And I'm actually thinking about maybe also to have a connection between people from the local startup ecosystem with people from internationally coming
That would
abroad.
be
So
great.
on the 28th to just have to bring 100 200 people, I don't know, together to mingle, mix and mingle, and to just meet to create
Hmm.
something meaningful for the ecosystem, because that's why I do this whole thing. I want to promote or celebrate entrepreneurship. Actually, I want more people to consider becoming an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
The best I think is if you look beyond your ecosystem, and if I can bring good people in and have them interact
Hmm.
with local people here, I really think that this can be something valuable for many, and it can, if not immediate business, it can really open your mind to
Your
different ways of
perspective.
thinking, different
True.
ways of seeing the world. And I've
Yeah.
seen that again and again, that the international crowd for a Pirate Summit has been extremely valuable for people to look beyond what they usually do. And that's also why people came to Pirate Summit, I think. And this is certainly something that it's very close to my heart to just enable that. But I would, to be honest, I would love to not have to do events anymore myself.
No, that's
In that regard, if other people would take over the torch, that would be tremendous. But if nobody does it, then I might just do it.
yeah. Well, Pirate Summit was just an amazing experience. So people definitely came for the connections and for whoever was there. But the whole experience itself, it was a festival. It was really a celebration of entrepreneurship, and definitely, I personally have had that, and I also know other people who've had that. You could really see what you could do because you cannot push beyond your limits if you don't see through your limits. And then these kind of events help you see through your limits. At Pirate Summit, for example, I remember very well that you could randomly meet investors, like very big people, and you would just, with a coffee in your hand, you would just randomly meet them, and it was so casual, it was so natural, and it really felt that everything was possible. Because in other events, they have the suit and the tie. It's very hard to actually reach these people. So definitely, I think that's also one of the core strengths of what Pirate Summit was, and I believe that's also what you're building Pirate Night upon. That's great. I think we covered tons of topics. The whole AI thing was really good. I really liked it. I hope also other people found it valuable. I also hope that other people try to value more that human connection, that human longing that we I think we're lacking very very much. Thank you, Manuel. Thank you for yet another amazing episode with great insights.
Thanks. It was a pleasure, as always.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye bye.